Hello watch enthusiasts and welcome to Watch Chronicler. The new Longines Spirit is a watch which proves irrefutably that IWC desperately needs a change. Yes, it's that good a pilot's watch. In fact, I'm prepared to say that with the exception of the more simple movement, this Longines is 99% as good as any luxury pilot's watch, irrespective of the price. Those are heady claims, but let me explain. When you think of a luxury three-hand pilot's watch, which brand is it that you think of? Breitling are more of a chronograph brand, Stover are more affordable, and Zinn aren't really luxury. Let's face it, you're thinking of IWC, whether it's the Mark series or the Big Pilot. So what do you need to create the perfect pilot's watch? Well, first of all you need a brand which has the money to give you better quality and features than every competitor, and most importantly, knows how to deliver the charisma and the charm needed to seal the deal. On the first count, Longines is undeniably the brand, with 1.4 million watches made each year and an annual turnover of 1.5 billion Swiss francs. On the second, Longines' heritage range has demonstrated an uncanny ability to make truly amazingly designed watches, whilst they've also been able to give us complications like an annual calendar for under £2,000. Now this is a brand which I sure as heck wouldn't want to challenge. If that's all true, then what is the new Longines Spirit? Well, it's a new, contemporary pilot's watch aiming for a more affordable version of the market for IWC's Mark series and Big Pilot watches. There is a chronograph version, but let's focus on the three-hand model today because it might be the perfect pilot's watch. Available in stainless steel with a choice of sunburst blue, grain silver or matte black dials, it's offered in two different sizes, with the only visual change being the removal of the numeral at 3 o'clock. Whether you buy it as a 40 or 42mm size is a moot point and will come down to your particular preference. For me, the bigger one is the watch to have, since it at once gives you the refinement and sharp lines of a smaller pilot's watch, but it has a whiff of Flieger watches with its big crown and large dial. At just over 11mm thick, it's not too thick either. Looking down at this watch, you really get the sense that this is the first totally successful modern design to come from Longines. Alright, the new Hydra Conquest is nice, but this is on another level. Just look at the subtle curve of the lugs and the sharpness of every corner, bevel and edge. Even the bottom of the lug tips have bevels, and the polished edges are razor sharp. I know that people often use the expression, but seriously, under a macro lens, those bevels are as good as any IWC or Omega I've seen. The brushing is also masterful and has the fine, patterned effect which only the top dogs of watchmaking can consistently get right. Honestly, I've never been so impressed with the finishing of a watch at this price range before, and frankly, no smaller brand could afford to do it. If you're enjoying this video, please like, share and subscribe, it really helps. Also follow us on Instagram and head over to our website to read articles about all the latest and most interesting watches which you deserve to know about. A really delightful touch is the crown, which screws in to give 100-metre water resistance. And yes, IWC, that means a pilot's watch can have a decent water resistance rating. It's also in the spirit of onion Flieger crowns by letting you move the hands with considerable efficiency. To highlight it, Longines have topped it off with a raised logo over a sandblasted finish. Before I move on to the all-important dial and movement, I'd like to shine the spotlight on some of the other details. This watch is offered on a leather strap, but unusually it's a genuine pilot's design with the flat tapered end and the contrasting stitch you would expect. Furthermore, it's semi-bolstered to give just the faintest change in thickness from case to tip, and as a consequence better balance on the wrist. The buckle, another bespoke element to this watch, is of exactly the same quality as the case. The value for money offered by as large a brand as Longines is obvious considering the movement behind the simple and extremely flat case back. At heart the movement used is an ETA 2892-2, a respectable movement and the base for a lot of previous innovation, including Omega's coaxial escapement. To add to this, it's a movement in a class of its own when compared to the ETA 2824. As standard, the power reserve is longer, it has none of the unreliability issues, and has the smoothest manual winding you'll find, alongside being automatic. Longines have looked at this movement and asked themselves, how can we make this movement fit modern expectations? The answer was to increase the power reserve to 60 hours, add a silicon hairspring, and cost chronometer certify it. You really can't argue with that at this price, and it certainly lives up to the 5 stars for accuracy on the dial, a traditional detail for Longines. Looking at the front of this watch, we have another trademark of a much more expensive timepiece, the Sapphire Crystal, which is subtly domed, beveled on its edge, and given a hugely effective inner anti-reflective coating. The hands are a lovely design with just enough of the sword shape to show reverence to the past, whilst a diamond-tipped second hand gives luminous legibility whilst not making this element seem too large. The finish of the hands is simply perfect and cannot be faulted. It's also a triumph of sense, as with polished hands this level of perfection would have been unattainable for the price. With a matte finish, however, they can be completely free from imperfection. Then we have the dial in this, the most understated colour scheme available. The base of the dial isn't the vintage grey which has become popular, but instead it's a pure matte black, and in anything but very specific lighting is virtually invisible. Other than this, the dial is clearly an homage to the past, yet one which is unapologetically modern in execution. Take for instance the way the outer rim of the dial is raised above the rest. This is a really lovely detail, and which shows the enormous quality on show here. Just look at the perfectly polished rim and the vintage-inspired printing. The open Arabic numerals in crisp white just can't be beaten anywhere near this price. Then we have the numerals, which are superbly applied to the surface of the dial. I think you probably get the message that I'm really struggling to spot any imperfections. The only obvious issue is the date window, which, whilst colour matched, seems too small and cuts off the marker next to it. Frankly, though, very few people will actually bother to inspect this watch in detail. This isn't a heritage Longines for a collector, but a handsome watch designed for the average consumer. It's like most buyers of a Rolex who respect the quality of what they're getting, but won't necessarily marvel at it themselves. Watches which command that sort of attention have more than simple quality, they have presence, and that's just what the Spirit has and is trying to convey. Look at the way the lozenge part of the second hand aligns with the dial, or how its red portion is balanced by the hour hand. The best bit is that when you turn out the light, this watch glows like a star. Legibility is genuinely phenomenal and lasts the whole night, whether on your wrist or used as a nightstand clock. Have Longines just created the perfect pilot's watch? Well, I'd go further. I think they've created the perfect men's watch altogether. There are limitations, such as having no more than a basic anti-magnetic rating and the lower beat rate to extend the power reserve, but neither problem will, truth be told, detract from the Spirit for anyone but the most demanding buyer. It's elegant, well-made, beautiful and effortlessly functional. Longines, you can pat yourselves on the back. IWC and everyone else, good luck beating it. Tell us what you think in the comments section below, and share what you might have instead of the Longines Spirit. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. This is Armon from WatchChronicler.com, out.